Alright, so this BA again. We got the Karlyn Borysenko on the Adam Krigler Airhead show discussing, gee golly, whether or not CRT is anti-white. So she's at it again, just being the controlled opposition shill that she is. Not even crypto leftist at this point. I mean, to deny such a thing is to be a progressive leftist shill. And, well, let's just see what these idiots have to say.
Today, we're going to be discussing whether or not critical race theory is anti-white. Now, before we get into it, I want...
Just look at how sleazy... I mean, just first and foremost, look at how just absolutely revolting this person looks. I mean, sleazy, fucking just under... I mean, you know, just like typical small hat behavior. You know, like... Can we get like a side check? You know, like a side profile check on that schnoz? Just like already shaking your head at the notion that an ideology that promotes the erasure of whiteness from all spaces, whether or not that's anti-white. But let's hear what they have to say. This was also billed as like versus, like Adam Krigler versus. So also keep that in mind. We'll see how good of a, you know, a counter point this guy actually provides.
I want to talk about the heat that you've been getting, because you've come out very strongly against the fact that it's anti-white, and you've been getting attacked by it. I've seen it. I've seen the stuff, the things
really badly.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how much people, when they get their worldview challenged, they get triggered. I mean, it's a self-defense mechanism that is rooted in like our instincts. Like, you know, people.
No,
it's very difficult for most people to have a grasp on that, because literally.
No, it's because it's anti-white by definition, because they say they want to eradicate whiteness, and you are hoodwinking your audience and telling them that, oh, you're just fragile snowflakes who are having your worldview challenged. So this is like the verses, this Krigler guy, this airheaded like hippie idiot who was on Tim Pool's channel. This is the opposition, I guess, like the pushback. Like, right, he's having her on to debate it, quote-unquote debate it, but really it's just going to be him, I predict, going to be him, like, granting all of her premises the entire time. Like, oh, well, yeah, no, the real fragile snowflakes are the ones challenging you, and, like, what, making response videos to, like, I'm triggered or snowflake or whatever because I am rightfully disagreeing with you denying the fact that this ideology singles out white kids and attacks them for their identity and their history. But do continue.
Literally everyone has this problem, you know, until you learn to master that, until you recognize, like, okay,
no,
this is like fight or flight, like I'm getting that defense
no, the people who burn cities are the ones who have the problem, idiot.
Because these things that are, I know for a fact, are being challenged, can be difficult to face. Now,
it's not being meaningfully challenged, though. She's just lying and gaslighting people. Oh, no. These people saying that your whiteness is inherently oppressive, and these people that say that you need to have your money, white people, your money and resources confiscated by the government and redistributed to black people. No, this isn't anti-white, Goyim. Shut up.
Believe that it is anti-white. I think that...
Oh, he does.
They have created white people as the boogeyman, as the bad guy in the situation.
True.
And you believe that it is just simply racist towards everyone.
Correct? Okay, so let's just point out that the term racist is a Trotskyist, sort of Bolshevik, small hat term. It's by definition a communist ideology. Like, anti-racism is anti-white. Anti-racism is anti-white. CRT is anti-white. Anti-racism is basically just a leftist bullshit ideology that basically says this space has too many white people in it. Wouldn't it be great if there were fewer white people in it? And that doesn't matter. Take any space, like heavy metal, right? Heavy metal, okay, we can pretty much unequivocally say heavy metal was invented by white people. What do the CRT types say about the heavy metal scene? Oh, there's way too many white people in here. We need to be anti-racist and more inclusive. Also, inclusivity is the other anti-white phraseology. We need to be more anti-racist and inclusive, which means that they don't want white people playing metal, right? Like, take just any space that you could think of that was traditionally, invented by white people, promoted by white people, that sort of thing. When the anti-racist woke CRT crowd comes in and says we want more inclusivity and anti-racism, it means they want fewer white people. Final summation, it's anti-white. Do continue.
Yes, I do. Yep.
And now here's the dilemma, right? I agree with you. right? I agree. I do think that it is demeaning and towards, if they're claiming white people are superior, but then like the minorities are
It's
less
not.
than, like,
That's not what they're claiming, you fucking idiot. They're not claiming that white people are superior. They're claiming that white people are oppressing black people. They're creating the oppressor and oppressed dynamic. No. No. What they're actually claiming is that black people are like magical beings who, have like magical melanin skin, powers, and blacks invented everything, and the mean old white man just came through and just killed and enslaved them and did this and that. Well, but we know who really did that. We know who actually ran the slave trade. We know who actually did that. It's people of a more reptilian, hook-nosed persuasion, sandy persuasion, and it's blamed on whites by the CRT crowd because CRT is anti-white. Basically, it's like blacks are treated as if they are magical, overachieving, #black excellence achieving, beings, and the white men and the white women are just privileged, right? That's what they're saying. They're not saying that whites are superior. They're saying that whites are viewed as superior, which is not true because CRT is everywhere. Whites are viewed as we've seen, perpetrators of racism. Whites are seen as oppressors. Whites are seen as like snidely whiplash, mustache twirling, Emperor Palpatine, Governor Tuck villains. Like, what do you?
That is just a demeaning thing to hear for anybody. Like, exactly. If I was not a white man, which I am, obviously a white man, whatever.
I don't know. What is anybody in the chat? What is the anybody in the comment section? What is Krigler? What is the what is the early life section on that, or the name origin page on that one?
Offended. I'd be like, well, I'm not less than anyone. Like, and I don't, as a white person, a white man, I don't treat anyone as if they're lower than me, because that's just insulting. Like, that's just not in my character.
That's not what they're saying, you liars.
But then me saying that,
they're saying that white people are oppressing them and that therefore white people need to give up their resources and their fucking influence arbitrarily to random black and brown people. That's what they're saying. They're saying that white people are screwing over or scheming against the black people, screwing them over, taking like all the things that they supposedly invented and appropriating them. Like, oh my god, like, again, like, there's leftists out there who claim to, I don't know if they are actually deranged enough to believe this, but they claim that, like, like black people invented music, right? And like white people came along and they stole music and spices and food, and they stole all this from the black man and passed it off as their own. Like, that's what they think. These people are just controlled opposition, really. Like, it's just...
I've seen this where if they say a white man like me says I'm not racist, and that just, I don't think the way that they are claiming that I do, doesn't matter. I'm racist. I am inherently racist.
Well, first off, I want to say, and I do want to just back up and give a little bit of history to this in a second.
Yeah.
But I
kind of went off on a tangent. Please go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I want to start off by saying, like, I think the first mistake you're making is accepting the premise of their arguments. I do not fundamentally believe that we have any obligation to accept the premise of their arguments. Listen,
You are accepting the premise of their arguments. You are accepting the notion of racism, which we already established as a Leon Trotskyist, like, far leftist communist premise, that there's too many white people in this space, and wouldn't it be great if there were fewer white people in this space? Heavy metal, punk rock, gaming, whatever it is. There's too many white people in this space, and we need to do something to make this space less white. This comic series has too many white people in it. This horror franchise, too many, whatever it is. Star Wars has too many Terminator, has too many white people in it. John Connor is too white, so let's, like, kill him off in the first, spoiler alert, but that movie sucks anyway. The Terminator reboot. John Connor's too white, we need to kick him out, we need to kick him out to like, piss off the white people. This is the express purpose state that they said that the Terminator reboot was to, like, piss off the straight white man. Like, by, like, delegitimizing all the previous movies, effectively. And you can see plenty of examples of this.
a big old dictionary, like a print dictionary from the 1990s sitting on my floor that has the definition of racism. And
Can you get that?
Whoa, stand back.
Read
She has a
out for us.
dictionary.
Let's
Whoa,
see
whoa,
what
whoa, stand
the
back.
definition of racism
Whoa.
in the 1990s. Classic.
Print
Look at that thing.
dictionary.
You know, someone actually...
There's the side profile. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's a small hat. Lesbo. Yeah. Leftist. Gatekeeping. Subversive. Controlled opposition. Like, so people like this exist to grift off, not only to grift off of your donations and stuff like that, but to prevent you, Joe Sixpack, white, boomer, conservative, from actually sticking up for yourself on the basis by which you're being attacked. And what, her big slam dunk is that she's going to bust out the dictionary? Let's see what she's got.
Someone actually sent me one of those. An older Webster's dictionary from the past that's like, you know,
one of my
before
supporters...
they're going to start changing words. Orwellian.
One of my supporters sent me this a couple weeks ago, and shout out to Ken. I appreciate Ken. And because I talked about wanting a big old like dictionary that I could look up old definitions in. Hang on, I'm trying to find racism.
Take your time, it's all good.
Yeah, but I think that, you know, we don't, like, the first mistake I think people make in this subject is that we accept the premise of the arguments that we're making. We are under no obligation to accept the premise of the arguments that they're making. In fact, every single time we do accept the premise of the arguments that they're making, we hand them a win. And I think
that's what you're doing. That's the entire point of your platform. It's the entire point of your platform is to sit there and accept the premise that the left is throwing down that America is racist, that there's racism embedded in our country, that white people are oppressors. Okay, that any white person sticking up for themselves on that basis is a neo-Nazi. That's what you did when people fucking called you out on your bullshit. That's exactly what you did up and down Twitter. You called everybody white supremacists and neo-Nazis. That's exactly what you did. You accept the premise that white supremacy is real. It's not. You accept the premise that racism is a valid or coherent concept, which it is not. You are granting the left's premises because you are a left shill grifter.
High level, I think what people need to understand is there are a lot of people talking about critical race theory right now. There are a lot of people making a lot of money talking about critical race theory right now.
An $8 billion a year industry.
Yeah, and so like
$8 billion.
They revealed it.
But I started looking into this stuff and trying to understand this stuff 2 years ago, when like my knitting world got turned upside down by social justice, and I wanted to understand what it was. And I had started seeing it because I work in the HR space. I had started seeing it like really come into the big HR conferences and stuff like that.
Right. And how many black people did you see get fired from their jobs from the HR department because bigotry of low expectations or whatever dumb shit you believe in? No, you saw a bunch of white guys get fired because they looked at a black person the wrong way. Or because their private social media postings. You lying scumfuck piece of shit.
And I was trying to like understand it. So I've been doing this for 2 years. And I think what people need to understand for like really high level is that my motivation is not to be a pundit talking about critical race theory forever. My motivation is to defeat critical race theory. That is the goal.
Your motivation is to
I want to be able
grift
to
off of
defeat
boomer
critical race theory
idiots.
so I can go back and do my old job. Like, I'm really good at my old job, but I can't do it right now.
Her whole job was probably bringing white dudes into the office to fire them for looking at a tranny the wrong way. Like, that was probably her job, dude. That was probably your fucking job.
I'm existing in this environment of insanity where it's infected everything.
Okay.
And so that's my goal. Everything that I have worked towards for the past 2 years, and especially in the last year or so, is working towards this goal of doing whatever I can to defeat critical race theory. So just to lay a baseline for anyone that might be confused about whether or not I support critical race theory or I oppose it, I absolutely oppose it. Anyone who said I have supported it in any way is a liar and doesn't know what they're talking about.
No, it's just accepting the premises of critical race theory by calling the white people who rightfully tell you that it's anti-white, by calling them Nazis, like calling them neo-Nazis and white supremacists. And blocking them and like blocking the term anti-white from your comment section, like memory holding any comment that says anti-white in your comment section, not even granting the premise that it is even possible to be anti-white, because I guess she accepts the left's premise that you have to have been so-called oppressed to stick up for yourself, which critical race theory is by definition a form of oppression against white people, because it's, again, we've said it 8 million times, whiteness needs to be destroyed. Destroy whiteness. End whiteness. This space is too white. Get more non-white people in here. Even though it's heavy metal, right? Black people in general are not interested in heavy metal, but let's just arbitrarily just like tokenize a bunch of people to come into this space. Like, I'm using heavy metal as an example, right? Like any space that has like white dudes in it is what the left CRT crowd has a problem with, right? That's what diversity means. That's what CRT means. That's what anti-racism means. That's what inclusivity means. It means this space has too many white people. Wouldn't it be great if there were no white people or fewer white people in it? Probably no white people.
Anyone say that? I mean, if they listen to anything you talk about, it's very obvious that you're very much against critical race theory.
Well, I think that's a very good question, and I think that's a question for all the people who have made videos of me with a clown face and talking about how I don't even know what critical race theory is when they have to look it up in the Encyclopedia Britannica. But okay, so the definition
and you have to look up in a dictionary because who cares about the dictionary?
I found race. Racism. Racism, according to this dictionary, is a doctrine or teaching without scientific support that claims to find racial differences in character, intelligence, etc. that asserts the superiority of one race over another or others, and that seeks to maintain the supposed purity of a race or races. And then the second definition is any program or practice of racial discrimination, segregation, etc., based on such beliefs. Okay. That's the definition I'm working with.
So what? You have a dictionary. Congratulations. First of all, there are intrinsic differences between the races that only a shitlib would deny that, right? Shitlib 1 and shitlib 2 would deny that. I mean, there are intrinsic differences between the races in terms of IQ, achievement throughout history. I mean, certain races have only really built grass mud huts and others created coliseums and aqueducts, okay? Like, guess who, right? Like, guess who? And the CRT crowd is trying to erase that history and demonize that history and say that that's white supremacy, right? That's colonizing, that's boogeyman, colonization, imperialism, and we're supposed to just sort of like take it at face value that those are intrinsically bad only when whites are doing it, so therefore final summation, CRT is anti-white. Continue.
So on that definition though, right? So in it says choosing, saying that one race is superior than another, right?
Yes.
Does critical race theory not choose white people as that race?
Well,
Does
No!
Say that that's the ones that are the one, then they're like, we have to acknowledge that, like, that is the problem. So
wait, they think that being an oppressor is being viewed as superior? They think that being like demonized and characterized as evil and an oppressor and a villain throughout history, they think that equals superior? This guy is just like, you could tell that both of these people just hang out in the woods and drop acid and smoke like 10 bong loads an hour. Like, they're so fucking dumb. They're triple chin check. Oh god, these people are so fucking gross.
That definition, right? It's saying that white people are the problem.
The problem, not superior, the problem.
It's saying that white people are inherently superior or believe that they are superior or the norm to every other race. But that doesn't make it anti-white. That makes it anti-everyone else.
What a dumb fuck. That's not what they're saying. They're saying that white people are evil. They're saying that white people are destroying other people. They're saying that white people are just like bulldozing and killing and imperialism and blah, 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 blah. The villains, evil, Gaston from fucking Beauty and the Beast or something. I don't know if you remember that character. Based Gaston. She knows she's lying through her fucking teeth. She's grifting to stupid fucking baby boomer idiots who don't know anything, who still think that, like, MLK was a legitimate person, even though he put doctor before his name. Dude, anytime someone, side tangent, anybody who puts doctor before their name and they're not a medical doctor is a huckster, okay?
Right? And here's the thing is,
but it's making them the bad guy, though.
That's really there you
go. How I see it. I mean,
if you had to choose between being the most powerful person or being the weakest person, which would you choose?
But you're looking at it from just one direction, though. You're saying that, you're saying that it's saying that they're the superior race, right? But
and at no point is any leftist asserting that. You are just imputing that. They're not saying that whites are superior. They're said that whites are viewed as superior, which they're not. They're viewed as villains via the CRT culture. So it's like, just put down the bong loads, okay? Like, about a month ago, I decided to swear off the stuff pretty much forever, if not for the foreseeable future, okay? And as a result, my mind is a lot clearer. These people apparently have not put down the bong yet. These guys are fucking idiots, dude. Who is... The CRT crowd is not saying that white people are superior. They're saying that they're inferior. They're saying that they're evil. They're saying that they're intrinsically, pathologically fucking villainous. It's a lie. I'm repeating myself now.
It could be seen as they're the problem. They're the reason we're here. It's their fault. The blame is them. But you made a good point, actually, just a minute ago. Mm-hmm. By me saying this, I'm giving justification to their arguments, right?
What?
So I'm basically saying, well, you know, I'm even acknowledging you, where instead I should be like, you're everything about what you're saying is wrong. Peace out. Get out of my face, you know?
Wait, so their idea of granting credence to the CRTers' argument is responding to it at all. Am I hearing that correctly? That's what he thinks is lending credence to their argument? Not accepting the premise of institutional racism, but just the Democrats are doing it. Not accepting the premise of white supremacy or the idea that neo-Nazis are around every bush and every cranny and every nook. That's not accepting their premise. No, accepting the premise is even engaging with it to begin with. No. What the fuck, dude? This whole thing would be like saying, like, oh no, Hitler wasn't anti-Semitic. He was engaging in bigotry of low expectations against the Germans. No, like, no, by saying that the Jews, well, you know, implying that they're not, but... Oh, by saying that the Jews are, you know, like, subversive communists who are, you know, undermining German culture and making it ugly and spreading subversion and, you know, degeneracy or whatever. That's not anti-Semitism. That's just bigotry of low expectations against the Germans. Like, you see what I mean? Like, they are granting the premise. They are granting the fucking premise.
So I'm gonna paraphrase something that James Lindsay said at his critical race theory workshop in Tampa, Florida. And this is, by the way, something I have discussed with both James Lindsay and Chris Rufo, and they're on my side. But what James Lindsay said, and again, I'm paraphrasing this. This is not an exact.
You just had to slip that they're on your side. That's fine. They're not here right now.
That's all right. They're the big guns. We all know it. They're the kings.
Yeah, well, they're not here right now.
Okay.
Who cares?
Well, what James Lindsay said at his critical race theory workshop in Tampa is that, well, there are absolutely anti-white components to critical race theory. It's actually like the least interesting part of it. And if you're focusing on those components, you are missing a much bigger picture of what is going on with critical race theory or why critical race theory is dangerous. Now, let me ask you this, Adam. Do you say Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter?
Neither, because those are stupid fucking platitudes, like hashtag campaigns that don't matter. They're set up by the internet to fucking hoodwink and fuck with people's heads and make them subservient to a bankster-financed street terror organization known as Black Lives Matter. It's getting people in a fake and gay dialectic as the country is undermined by small hats, basically. Like, that's what it is. All lives matter, Black Lives Matter. Dude, that's some straight 2015 bullshit. I don't say either of those things. All lives don't matter. Most human beings are absolute scum, grifter assholes who lie to their audience in order to make a buck from naive boomer Reaganites. The Blake population, they're a failed population. It pains me to say it, believe it or not. Just look at them objectively, right? Again, I reiterate, while the Romans were building aqueducts and coliseums, they were making grass and mud huts, and they continue to make grass and mud huts and basically just destroy like wide swaths of the United States, just gradually through social and urban decay, but also through forming flash mobs, beating up random people, like drive-by shooting, crack dealing. I mean, they owe us white people reparations for destroying all the formerly German and Polish neighborhoods. They owe us reparations. I would say neither Blake Lives Matter or All Lives Matter. It's their job as their community to look after themselves. It's not the white man's burden to pull them out of the third world muck. It's them. They need to do it themselves. I would say neither. Okay, what do you think Adam would say?
I say both. I mean, when someone says Black Lives Matter, I said, of course they do.
Yes.
And then they're like, do all lives matter? Of course they do. Like,
Okay.
all lives matter. So it's like,
the entire thing is just to get people tripped up in this stupid fake dialectic, while like the core like stock of the country is being undermined through mass immigration. Whites being undermined through mass immigration, the CRT crowd, the intersectionality crowd, the LGBT crowd, the rioting Antifa psychos. I don't understand. Okay, so let's she's clearly a shill and a grifter because she has absolutely no reason, like real reason, to oppose CRT, except I guess it interfered with her knitting circle or her HR job, and it's like whatever, dude. Like, you're making probably way more fucking money doing this anyway. Like, this is just a fucking lie on her part. It's a grift on her part. She's subversive, and she's controlled opposition. It's just ridiculous.
Here, Black Lives Matter. It's like, well, yeah, of course, like, duh. So
That's
I
exactly
say both.
right. That's exactly right.
Not to them.
So
Okay.
if by that logic, then you would have to say critical race theory is racist. It's just racist.
It is racist.
White is included in
I
that.
agree. I agree.
White
that
is
it's
included in
racist.
that. Black is included in that. Hispanic is included in that. Asian is included in that.
The people who say all lives matter would never specifically stick up for white people. You won't specifically stick up for white people. You would just devote your entire Twitter timeline to attacking those people as white supremacists. So therefore, you're an idiot and a liar and a shill.
I never
critical race theory is racist
disagreed
against
with that
everyone.
side of it, though. I
Well,
agree.
then why
I know
is
it
everyone so pissed that I'm saying critical race theory is racist instead of
Because
critical race theory is anti-white? Because in my world,
Mhm.
that's just like saying all lives matter as opposed to just Black Lives Matter. Because yes, of course, I believe that Black Lives matter, but I believe that
Why?
they don't matter
don't.
any more or less than anyone else. And every single time we put the anti-white aspects of this at the forefront, and again, if you're focusing on the anti-white aspects, you are missing a much bigger and much broader picture that is much more troublesome. But when
That's
you're
not what I'm
focusing
focusing on.
You don't have to focus on anything. You just have to acknowledge what they're saying. Just take what they're saying at face value. End whiteness, destroy whiteness, the space is too white. Things that were clearly invented by white people were somehow stolen from the black people who actually magically somehow invented it. Right? And it's like this psychotic, like, Disney Channel fucking interpretation of history where it's like the white man is cast as the villain. It's anti-white, dude. It pathologizes whiteness. They say whiteness is poison, toxic whiteness. What the fuck, dude? This doesn't need to be. I'm like a broken record at this point, but I gotta drive this point home. It's like, that's what they're fucking saying. That's at the core. That is the core of what they're saying. That is the core of what they're saying. They're saying decolonize this space. Decolonize your mind, right? Like, that's what they're fucking saying. Just look at what they're saying.
No, I don't think you are, but I'm trying to explain. If you're putting all the emphasis on those attributes, you are fundamentally saying that every other way in which critical race theory is racist is of lesser importance, and I don't believe that's true. And in fact, I think that's a pretty racist perspective.
What?
Okay.
I just find, I mean, her physiognomy is so bad, and it's kind of a distraction. I'm an ADD kind of guy. If she were like a teacher of mine, I would not be able to pay attention in class, and she would fucking hate me and give me bad report cards. But it's like, okay, what the fuck did she say?
You are funding them, but the anti-white aspects of this at the forefront, and again, if you're focusing on the anti-white aspects, you are missing a much bigger and much broader picture that is much more troublesome. But when you're focusing
on.
No, I don't think you are, but I'm trying to explain. If you're putting all the emphasis on those attributes, you are fundamentally saying that every other way in which critical race theory is racist is of lesser importance, and I don't believe that's true.
But she's throwing down another fake premise that the left believes in, that racism against black people is even a thing. That's the problem. There is no racism against black people. They're handed white people's resources, right? Like, white people's stuff is taken by government force and given to them via school lunch programs, breakfast programs. We pay for their education, we pay for their housing, and they're demanding even more. They're demanding even more subsidized housing. They're demanding even more first-time homeowner subsidizations via the government. White people are the ones primarily paying for that. What the fuck, dude? Like, so her premise that CRT has any aspects that are so-called racist against black people is a leftist premise in and of itself, because you're accepting the very Trotskyist notion of racism itself, Like, you're a dumb fuck. Just look at this person. She looks reptilian and just brain dead, like sub 70 IQ. She just looks fucking dumb and sounds dumb.
In fact, I think that's a pretty racist perspective.
Okay. Well, I 100%
Dude, finger wagging at someone about racism is leftist. What the
agree
fuck?
with you that critical race theory is a division. It's terrible for everybody. And
No, it's not.
Hitting us all against each other. But this is something
terrible for white people.
You broke the Coca-Cola story because
Yeah.
someone came to you. They didn't say try to be less black.
Right.
Try to be less Hispanic.
There
They
you
said
go.
Try to be less white.
Yeah.
Anti-white. CRT is anti-white. Okay, so what is this disgusting, brain-dead, fucking quadruple-chinned, small-headed psycho gonna say to that?
So, like, how do we do that? Like, how does that not make... I mean, I see what you're saying, you know, but I think you're missing the point that I was making earlier. It's like, we are the boogeyman. I'm the boogeyman to these people. Like, people that aren't white, that succumb to critical race theory, look at me now and say, that's the problem. It's this person.
Right, exactly. And then they go out and they beat up white people. They burn down their storefronts, you know, because George Floyd OD'd on his fentanyl supply that he wanted to sell to your white kids. He wanted to, like, home invade your white daughter, your Karen's, whatever, house. You know, and these black and brown people who hear this dumb shit, they want to go out there and tear down a statue that depicts a white person because, oh, well, that's a white person, and therefore that white person must be a colonizer, a slave owner, whatever, or perceived as a colonizer, a slave owner, or perceived the statue that's of a moose they want to fucking burn down because, well, it was probably built by a white person, and, well, that white person that built it was probably a slave owner and a colonizer, and blah 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 blah. Yeah, so it's mobilizing a psychotic street army of coalitions of intersectionality, right? It's a bunch of, like, Jews and LGBT people and black people and Latinos and mulattoes and, yeah, a tiny sliver of white people going out there and attacking whiteness. Like, that's what Antifa and BLM is. Dude, and CRT and anti-racism and inclusivity and all, and intersectionality is just the ideology that gets them out there in the first place. That's what it is. That's the mindset behind when we saw the Sherman Park riots in Milwaukee after that dude got shot. That when they were saying, if he white, get him. If he was on camera, if he white, get him. Where the fuck do you think they learned that? In public school, exactly.
Yeah. White silence is both violence and also, you know...
And you just accepted their premise.
We're not allowed to speak.
What?
Well, yeah,
I mean,
but I also think I also think you just accepted their premise.
We're not violence and also, you know...
And you just accepted their premise.
What? What? You just accepted their premise by criticizing their premise, by saying that their premise is anti-white. The amount of just talmudry and pill pull coming from this broad is staggering. I mean, what she's saying is so incoherent and so obviously a grift. It's so insane to me. I'm thunderstruck.
Well, yeah.
White people, he's right. Yeah, white people aren't allowed to speak. White silence is violence, but they're also not allowed to speak. It's just scrambling and hoodwinking white people's brains so that they are more docile and more beaten down and are more conducive to just, like, giving up their resources to black people arbitrarily. That's what it is.
I mean, but I also think I also think, it's not being taught in school in the way that you think, though. Like, so
what a lying cunt.
I think you're missing my premise that it's not as though there are no anti-white components to it. It's that those aren't even the most interesting things. And Adam, you still haven't answered the question. If you have to choose between being the most powerful person or the least powerful person, which are you going to choose?
Who cares? That's just such a dumb question.
I mean, it's, you know, most people would pick the most powerful person.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
but whites are not the most powerful person. They're being attacked by every institution right now. You stupid fucking cunt. What the fuck? No, if you make all these fucking young black kids perceive white people as the most powerful person, then they have justification to go fucking attack them, which is what they're doing, which is what CRT is. Stop lying, Jew.
According to critical race theory,
people want to be powerful.
According to critical race theory, this is not my definition, this is their definition. According to critical race theory, white people are the most powerful people in all of society, and no one who is non-white can succeed unless the white people get out of the way and deal with their inherent racism and let them succeed.
That's
I think
insane.
that's incredibly racist. I think
That's
it is
so
incredibly
racist.
True,
I mean,
though.
absolutely.
to teach
I think that's you.
children,
I think that's you paraphrasing
like
it.
young black 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old children that they cannot succeed in life unless white people allow them to. I think that's incredibly racist.
It's not racist. It's just factually true, dude. It's factually true. I mean, look at any African country, dude. Without white people's aid, without our medicine, without our fucking technology, without our science, they are in mud huts, okay? With our medicine, with our technology, with our science, they are mud huts and a half. Okay? They get like what the fuck? She accepts the left's premise that, like, oh yeah, without white supremacy, there was somehow like a golden age where black people were these like overachieving scientists who had first world advanced nations, and the evil white male came along and no, she just she accepts the left's premise, says that like the Democrats did it. Like, the Democrats did the mall white supremacy, which there is no fucking white supremacy. The very notion of racism and white supremacy is a leftist terminology. If you accept the notion of racism, you, Karlyn, are accepting the left's premise.
The matter is that critical race theory actually loves white people who agree with it. They love white people. Who is the queen bee of critical race theory?
Shabbos
Robin DiAngelo.
Robin DiAngelo. What race is Robin DiAngelo?
Small hat.
White woman.
Fellow white.
Very, very white. They love
Lies.
white people who agree with it.
She
Critical
said
race
some
theory.
crazy racist stuff too.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've
Oh yeah, Goyim, yeah. Robin DiAngelo isn't a Jew. No, she's totally white. Oh,
heard her say the
yeah.
craziest things. Like,
They
what?
have made her a
It is
multi-millionaire. They love her so much they have put millions of dollars in her pocket because she agrees with the ideology. At the end of the day, critical race theory is actually anti anyone who disagrees with it the most.
Good.
Okay, anyone who purports an idea or ideology is going to oppose someone who disagrees with their idea or ideology. What a worthless, stupid fucking thing to say.
That's what hates the most.
What the
And
fuck?
Okay, I agree with
We
that.
can look at this
That is
article
the
from like the
stupidest
Washington
thing.
Post back in January. It talked about multiracial whiteness. Or the LA Times article last week
Larry Elder.
about Larry
Larry
Elder
Elder.
being a white supremacist.
Right, so he's being attacked for acting like a white person, which is anti-white, you stupid bitch.
Blackface of white supremacy. It's
Yeah,
like,
and
Right.
wow.
And I actually got into a little debate on your Twitter feed with someone who was saying, well, this is a clear example of it being anti-white. Well, no, I'm sorry. Telling a strong, powerful black man that he is a white supremacist because he doesn't act
grifter.
like you think a black man should act, that's incredibly racist. And that's not anti-white racism. That's anti-black racism. I'm sorry.
Today,
This bitch is horrible. This bitch is just a nightmare. She just lies and says that fucking Robin DiAngelo is a white woman. She's a Jew, okay? This is not a white woman. This is a Jew, okay? Someone want to look up Krigler. Get an early life or like name origin check on this person. This is just fucking insane. So apparently, like, taking white people's resources and arbitrarily giving them to black people, saying that white people are the villains of history and oppressing everybody and hurting everybody with imperialism and white supremacy, that's just somehow not anti-white. This chick just needs to go, man. Like, nobody should be watching this chick. This was just an abridged version. I think they did like a 3-hour fucking stream on this where Karlyn was just like flipping out at the people in the chat, just like flaming the shit out of her. So it's like, and they start off in the beginning saying, oh yeah, well when these fragile white supremacists have their worldview challenged, oh yeah, it's really triggering for them. And then she proceeds to, get so-called triggered, quote unquote, and just flip out on the people in the chat who are challenging her. So it's just like all they do is contradict themselves every 5 fucking seconds and lie and grift and gatekeep, and it's just they're there as controlled opposition to prevent white people from waking up and figuring out what's going on, which is they're existentially under attack by the CRT crowd. They want to make, I mean, through mass immigration and through like all these advertisements that show black guy, white girl, black guy, white girl, black guy, white girl. They're, and tearing down white monuments and saying, oh, this space that was made by white people actually somehow wasn't. It was stolen from black people. Like, all of this is so self-evidently anti-white. They're grasping at straws and lying, counting on you being as low IQ as they are, or they're playing the part of, and they're just hoodwinking and gaslighting you. When you see something that is so self-evidently an attack on your race and your history, they don't want you to see it that way. And it's because they're freaking small hats. But anyway, this was fucking painful, man. Subscribe.